All right. Good evening, folks. I want to welcome you to the Vinton Town Council meeting for this Tuesday, March 18, 2025. Antonio, if you would call a roll, please.
Councilmember Lyles.
Here.
Councilmember McCarty.
Here.
Councilmember Stovall.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mullins.
Here.
Mayor Gross.
Here. Obviously, we have a quorum. I'll ask you to stand for just a few minutes. During that time, we will have our moment of silence. So we use our moment of silence here in the town of Vinton so that everyone can pray or meditate as they see fit. If you choose to pray, and I hope you will, I plan to, I would ask you to keep this country, this community, and certainly this council meeting in your thoughts and prayers. While we are standing, we'll also have the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilmember Keith Lyles is in charge of that.
There were so many people to pick from.
I know.
So we're not used to this. But I did pick our one and only Roanoke County Board of Supervisors for the Vinton District, Tammy Shepard. To do it.
So she's going to lead us in the pledge. If you'll stand for that, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, again, welcome to the council meeting. Certainly good to see all of you this evening. We will start our festivities, our activities with community events and announcements, and that's given to us by Councilmember McCarty.
Okay. On March the 25th, Senior Services Expo from 10 to 2, and that is going to be held at the William Byrd Middle School. That's a different location. We normally have it at our beautiful War Memorial, but it is being renovated. So please take note that it will be 10 to 2 at William Byrd Middle School. On April the 9th, there is a lunch and learn with Debbie Custer from 12 to 1 p.m. at the Charles Hill Senior Center. I always have a problem with that word. On April the 19th, we have our shred event here from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Municipal Building parking lot. And on May the 26th, the town offices will be closed in observance of Memorial Day. We'd also encourage folks to visit one of the many restaurants and entertainment venues that we have in our community. And for more information, that can be found on each venue's website or social media. And for more information on everything happening in Vinton, please visit the InVinton Facebook page, and don't forget to like and share.
All right. So that word you were having a problem with, senior?
Charles Hill Senior. I got to say it slow.
I hear the senior thing all the time.
I know.
I got it. I'm used to it.
I'm not.
All right. No. Okay, we'll move on to council activities, and Vice Mayor Mullins, if you would, please.
Yes, sir. March the 5th, council held a lunch in which they cooked for the staff to express their appreciation. Literally, the gentleman on the end grilled. They did all the shopping, the grilling. It was fantastic.
Good job.
March 10th, Mayor Gross attended the blood drive. March 12th, Vice Mayor Mullins and Mayor Gross attended lunch and learn with Okies. And March 17th, Councilmember Stovall and Mayor Gross attended Finance Committee meeting.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Been a busy couple of weeks. Next item is a request to postpone or change the agenda. Anything, folks? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Tonight it has two items, the minutes of the regular meeting for March 4th, 2025, and also the resolution number 2583A, which I'm sure you've had an opportunity to look at.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move consent agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, with that, we'll move on to awards. No awards tonight. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to our briefings for tonight. something tells me that's why we have a few folks here. So, and by the way, we have typically you will see listed as citizen comments and petitions. That's always on our agenda. So if you're here to speak about something other than some kind of traffic thing or something, seriously, if you have something other than the Gus Nix traffic alignment, I would ask you to wait for that section. This first section will be our briefings, and the way we work this is we'll have a presentation from the staff and a staff report, and then we'll ask for comments from you folks, and then the council members will make any comments they would like. We're going to limit this to 10 people. I think do we have that many signed up? All right, at 2 minutes each. So we will start with that, and I'll get the briefing started by asking for the staff report.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh,
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the staff report this evening on the Gus Nix Boulevard project is going to be given by Mr. Dwayne Darden from the city of Roanoke. He is the transportation division manager. He has been sort of the project lead for the partnership between the town and the city. So he has a presentation to give, and then myself and the town manager will be available for any questions from council regarding the presentation. So,
okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to Vincent.
Appreciate your time this afternoon, this evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, everybody here. So I am Dwayne Darden. I appreciate the opportunity to present before you, and I appreciate Cody and Pete having me here to talk a little bit about Gus Nix. We've got a couple of slides here we'll run through to talk about the Gus Nix demonstration project. And wrong way, I guess. We're going to talk three things: the what, the why, and the how about Gus Nix. The first thing is, what are we doing? Well, we're going to pave Gus Nix during the summer of 2025. That includes not only the city of Roanoke, but also the town of Benton. So that's what we're here to talk about. Why are we doing this? This is it's going to include not only the Western Virginia Water Authority had a project out on Orange Avenue that also included a portion of Gus Nix from Orange Avenue to Eastern. So they're going to pay for a portion of that. And then we're working with the town, and they're going to pay the city's contractor to fund the mill and overlay of Gus Nix between the town limits and Pollard. And obviously what's on the screen there is the limits from Orange Avenue all the way to Pollard. You'll see the little section up in the top left about the Water Authority project and what they're going to pay for their piece of that. So this is the lane configuration as it currently is. It's a 4-lane undivided highway. It has been since the early 80s when the bridge over the railroad tracks was constructed. That's what we're currently talking about. And we're going to talk about the why we're thinking about something potentially different. So in Roanoke, we've been looking at our Vision Zero plan. This is a comprehensive safety action plan over the past year that the staff and the city have been working towards. We've done an analysis, crash analysis throughout the city. And you see in that yellow circle there, the portion of Gus Nix is one of our highly rated crash volumes. Obviously, it's not the most or the highest, but it is one of our highest. So anytime we pave, does it make sense to do something different? That is the question. Safety improvements are needed on our high injury network, and that's what I alluded to earlier. Crash statistics in particular, from 2016 to 2024, angle, head-on, pedestrian, fatality. In particular, we've had one. Severe injuries, and let me double click on that. What does that mean? What's a severe injury? Well, that is something that is a defining moment in someone's life. When they have a severe injury, they are not the same after. So that could be some sort of disability that arises from that. Maybe they can't work after that. You don't know what the resolution to that is. Now you say that, well, that's 9 years worth of data. There's a total of 62 crashes. Is that a big deal? Well, if you do the average, that's one about every 6 weeks. Most folks say, well, I've never seen a crash on Gus Nicks. Well, that's not the case. It happens often enough. Once every 6 weeks, a crash occurs. And again, these statistics are just numbers until it's your family or someone you know. And at that point, I bring you to this quote. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So as we think about Gus Nicks and the crash volume there, will we repave with the same thing that we have out there that's resulted in crash volumes and speeding? Or are we going to try to do something different? That is the question. So how? How are we going to think about Gus Nicks going forward? There's a story that my boss likes to tell about a three-legged stool. How many of you folks are familiar with a three-legged stool and what it's used for? Milking, right? Why do you use a three-legged stool? Because it's easier to, on uneven ground, it's actually stable. A four-legged stool is not stable on uneven ground. So the three-legged stool of traffic engineering, there's three pieces to this. Engineering, and that's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Education and enforcement. Let me start with the bottom one first. Enforcement is obviously police department. They are a piece of the puzzle, but they are not the silver bullet that's going to solve the crash volume on Gus Nicks. Education. The city of Roanoke has spent over $1 million in the past 5 years working on education campaigns. You may have seen some of these yard signs if you frequent Roanoke. Every corner of the crosswalk, no need to speed. It's up to you to keep our streets safe. No need to speed, keep students safe. Change lanes to pass, keep each other safe, slow down. So that's our past 5 years. This year, we're focusing on distracted driving. That's the education piece. So engineering, education, and enforcement. Those are the three pieces. Let's talk about the engineering piece. Gus Nicks was designed as a 4-lane cross-section back in the 80s. At that time, how many of you think the 80s was a long time ago? Enough, it doesn't seem like that long. It's been 42 years since 1983 when that bridge was widened. None of us had cell phones. Driving styles were very different. What we drove was very different. SUVs were not a thing. Speeds were very different. Times have changed, and the question is, does the roadway need to change to reflect the current demographics and the way people drive? So this is the VDOT guidance about roadway reconfigurations. They talk about, you see in the middle there, reducing, and I'm not sure if this pointer will work. Yeah, well, on the TV. In the middle there, it talks about reducing vehicular speeds. Speeding is one of the problems on Gus Nicks. Town of Benton has reduced it to 25 miles an hour. The city is in process of looking at reducing speed limit on our section of it. Reducing vehicular speeds, encouraging economic growth, improving roadway safety, and creating space for cyclists and walkers. Now, most folks know there's already bike lanes on Gus Nicks, at least on the city portion. They are the minimal bike lanes. They're 3 foot wide instead of 5 foot wide. But cyclists, this is not about cyclists. This is about crash volumes and how to try to address that. That center turn lane you see in the bottom right, that is really what we're trying to do here. Add a center turn lane. That encourages economic growth. Why? Because drivers don't have to stop in a travel lane to turn left into a business. They are in safe refuge in that center turn lane, so they feel more comfortable and safer turning. That is part of why the roadway safety is there, but also as folks move through the corridor in a platoon, speeds will reduce. We have seen that elsewhere. This is the FHWA guidance, U.S. Department of Transportation. Similarly, safety benefits reducing total crashes 19 to 47%, depending on where you are. On Williamson Road, north of Angel, where we installed center turn lanes back in the early 2000s, we reduced rear end collisions by 77%. 77%. So we know that works in the city. Where else did we do that? On Brandon Avenue. We recently changed that. That was in 2001. We changed it from a 4-lane configuration down to 3. And what we know is in the past 3 years, knock on wood, we haven't had any fatalities or serious injuries on that section of corridor where we made that change. So what are we going to do with this 4-lane configuration? Going back to that definition of insanity, should we do something different? So we talked about an in-house with, should we do something different? So the city designed what a 3-lane road configuration might look like. 1 lane in each direction plus a center turn lane. And again, that center turn lane is really what we're after here. We tried to do we did a traffic flow timing test on the existing 4 lanes in January. And then this month, obviously, we did the test for 3 lanes to see what that looks like. So these are timing runs that our traffic engineers, city traffic engineers, got in a vehicle and drove up and down the corridor multiple times between 7:15 a.m., 8:15 a.m. We actually added time on both ends. We did it at the posted speed limit. Pre-demonstration was 2 minutes, time through the corridor in the morning peak average. During the demonstration, the average was 2 minutes and 49 seconds. So we added 49 seconds to the average commute time through the corridor. The PM peak, the afternoon peak, between 4:30 and 5:30, the pre-demonstration was 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And during the demonstration, it was 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Now, again, that's the average. Were there longer periods? Yes. But were there also shorter periods? Yes. Absolutely. That's the average, though. I want you to consider this. The peak times, AM and PM peak, that's an hour on either end. What about the other 22 hours of the day? We're still working on that, but the indicators are that you can actually travel the corridor faster now than you could before the demonstration project. And we have data to back that up. We just don't have it ready to present. Traffic speeds. 7:15 to 8:15, 4:30 to 5:30. We're still working on that. We've got speed panels that were up previously, and they're currently still up to see what the traffic speeds were and are. So we'll have that. But indicators are that it's closer to the town of Vinton posted speed limit of 25. Folks have said, where did all the traffic go? And I know you can't really read those numbers. It's difficult, and I apologize for that. But you see the PD pre-demonstration and during the demonstration up there in the top left, you see the AM during that hour volume. It's 474 pre-demonstration, 462. That was last Thursday, 462. So that's a difference of 12 vehicles, 12. 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. Pre-demonstration, 760 vehicles in that hour. During the demonstration, 753. 7 vehicles difference. You'll notice the next one down there, northbound at King, peak volumes. In the morning, you do have some difference. That's about 100 difference. But if you look at the PM peak, 782 pre-demonstration, we actually had 825. So more during the demonstration in the PM peak than the AM, which is a little odd, but that's what the volume is. And then at the bottom there, you'll see the daily traffic on the corridor, 11,574, pre-demonstration, 11,403. So you got about 170-ish difference that moved elsewhere. Northbound traffic volumes, pre-demonstration, 11,925 and 11,912. So is there some difference? There's some difference. Minor difference, yes. So project timeline, October, we already talked about that. January, March, In April, we'll have full results to share with administration, with you all. So you're going to be interested in that. City administrations. We'll update design as necessary, depending on what the council's decision is. And then in summer, we'll repave Gus Nicks, whatever that looks like. And then in the fall, we'll do post-traffic flow timing tests, just to see how the project is functioning. And we'll monitor it over the years to see how crash volumes do. But again, I go back to this slide here. This is why we're doing what we're doing. Does it make sense to do something different? Or to pave it the same way it is and expect something different to happen? But with that, Heath, Cody, welcome to.
Dwayne, appreciate the presentation. Just to remind council, the city approached the town about this particular paving project. This has been a partnership, a conversation between the two entities. This is not something that was solely the city's idea, and certainly not solely the town's idea. It's something that we've been working on together. Not made our decision. This is purely what it was a demonstration. And so we're still in the process of collecting that data and analyzing it to present to our elected folks for the ultimate decision. So appreciate you coming tonight and sharing those details with us. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much for that presentation. Very insightful, impactful. So we will start with our citizen comments. Who do you have signed up?
I have 10 people signed up. When I call your name, please come to the dais, state your name and address and any affiliations, and you'll be giving 2 minutes, and the beeper will go off when the 2 minutes are over. The first person I have is Corey Welsh.
And before we get started, I would just briefly remind everyone that's speaking tonight to adhere to our guidelines, or actually our rules. I assume everyone's got those. Hello, Corey.
How y'all doing tonight?
All right.
I'm not a good public speaker, so I had to write everything down, so forgive me for having to read it.
You're as good as I am.
Good evening, members of council. First, I want to say thank you for taking the barriers down ahead of schedule. I know you guys have planned on keeping them up for another 2 weeks pending the demonstration. We are hoping lunch business returns to normal sooner than later. It took over a year of hard work and paid advertising to build the lunch business that we are seeing prior to the road change. We saw a 25% drop the first week and another 5% drop in the 7th week, making a 30% decrease in lunch sales. Break off script here a little bit. I was in construction for 30 years. If I seen traffic back up, I just didn't go down it. And that's, I mean, the evening numbers and morning numbers really don't matter to me because I don't drive that way. What matters to me is people coming into town. Lunch sales, I'd like to see the difference in that as well. I know there was probably no pre-demonstration numbers on that. As some of you may be aware, restaurants have significant overhead, and decrease in sales can make business very difficult. Our goal since we opened has not only been to help the town event and grow, but to support the community as well. This includes local schools and approximately 15 separate programs within the school systems that we donate and sponsor. We also employ over 45 employees that have made that express concerns if road changes do occur, that they may have to find other avenues of employment because they don't want to deal with the traffic. Many of our businesses are supported by primary event and most of our business is supported by primary event and residents. We also receive that support, but we have been able to bring a number of customers from neighboring areas into Vinton to shop and dine. I know you've all heard stories about the roads being backed up, and over the last couple of weeks in several different areas, I wanted to tell you that it's not just locally though. Our friends in the Hardy area, because my parents live there, I know this, it's the first time they're seeing traffic at the Coopers Cove Road Eversville intersection. And I can vouch for that because my parents live there. Sorry. As far as the safety study goes, I've seen drivers turning in the left lane turning on the Pollard, instead of turning left, they've raced people to get in front of the car in the right lane to go straight. I've seen this on numerous occasions the past 2 weeks.
Sorry, Corey, your time's up.
Really, that fast?
Yep. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Council's going to have comments at the end of the citizen comments, but I would like to mention one thing. Actually, the schedule for the demonstration was started and finished as planned. So it was always planned for 2 weeks. So I thought I'd let you know, my friend.
Please state your address when you come up here, but he is with Pokey Joe's. I'm sure you guys all saw that. The next person is Tammy Shepard.
Joe, state your address. I don't think 2 minutes is going to be long enough, but my name is Tammy Shepard. I live at 2702 Matthew Drive in Vinton. I also own Shepard Realty Group in downtown Vinton and am your representative for the Roanoke County Board of Supervisors, Vinton Magisterial District. Thank you for being here tonight. It is clear that we all care deeply about the well-being of our Vinton community, and I appreciate everyone taking the time to discuss the matter that affects us all. The traffic conditions on Gus Nix Boulevard and the recent lane adjustments that have been made, while those changes may have been introduced with good intentions, the reality is they are creating serious issues for our first responders, school buses, residents, and our local businesses. First and foremost, the impact on first responders cannot be overstated. Our fire, police, EMTs, towing services depend on clear and efficient routes to get to emergencies. Unfortunately, the recent lane changes and adjustments have led to congestion, which delays emergency vehicles when they are needed most. Every second counts in an emergency, and any delay could make the difference between life and death and a minor injury versus something much worse. The current traffic flow is hindering our first responders' ability to act quickly and effectively, and this is a risk we cannot afford. I've also provided a letter that was written by our fire chief that I've given to you all. In addition to first responders, the changes are also affecting our school buses. The children have been late to school, late getting home, and this is pulling away from their time with education. Also, it is increasing the commute time for our residents who live by. The traffic folks are driving through the neighborhoods and causing us concern for citizens and children playing in those neighborhoods. The traffic backups don't just affect residents trying to get to work and school, they're also negatively impacting our local businesses. Many of the small businesses along Gus Nix Boulevard and in nearby areas rely on easy access for customers and delivery. The traffic congestion has made it harder for people to reach these businesses. Potential customers may avoid the area altogether to avoid sitting in traffic, which puts a real financial burden. And I have more, but I will stop since my 2 minutes is up. So thank you. And please take a moment to keep Vinton the community that we all love.
Thank you.
Janet Scheid.
Janet, I know you can talk fast.
Mr. Mayor and Town Council, I'm Janet Scheid. I live at 1453 Wolf Creek Drive in Vinton. I've lived there for 37 years. I travel all the roads in Vinton on a daily basis, sometimes during rush hour and sometimes during off hours. I applaud your innovative and progressive transportation planning and your willingness to try something new. Change is hard, but necessary. The test is working, in my opinion. I have traveled this quarter at various hours of the week, and for the most part, it has gone smoothly. I think we all need to remember that a properly restriped road will create a much clearer and safer traffic pattern. Yes, there have been hiccups. That's why it's called a test period. Those hiccups, while inconvenient, are to be expected. In my opinion, they have been addressed as they have occurred, and lessons have been learned. Vinton tends to be an older population. I'm grateful that you are acknowledging that there are other transportation modes to be considered over and above the almighty car. While most people in this community travel by car, there are those of us who enjoy traveling and recreating as walkers and even bicyclists. As our population continues to age, those modes of transportation will become more and more important for a larger and larger segment of our community. I support the Gus Nix Boulevard lane reconfiguration road plan because I think it will improve safety and efficiency in the corridor for all users. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Wow, less than 2 minutes. That was
Lee Lovern.
good.
I'll be quicker than that.
Good evening, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Lee Lover, and I live at 115 North Poplar Street in Benton. I believe the proposed intersection changes at Pollard and Gusnick's Boulevard is a good thing. I live right across the street from where the new playground is beside Lott's Funeral Home, and I've seen quite a few times small children get out of the car in excitement and run towards Washington Avenue. I cringe at the thought of them getting run over by an oncoming car. The proposed lane closures will provide a safer environment for the playground and, in my opinion, help local businesses when cars slow down and can see what has been developed in the area over the last couple of years. Downtown Benton in the last couple of years has been developed successfully, a great effort. Having a slower traffic pattern will only allow people to see and appreciate our town. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Michael Cranwell.
Good afternoon, Michael
Hey.
Cranwell. I live at 3969 Horsepen Mountain Drive in Benton. First, thanks for letting me come up here. Mr. Gross, thanks for ensuring me that you do in fact know what the internet is.
I do.
So
do.
I know everybody knows what the internet is. I think my point was more about the use of the internet today versus what it may have been in the past. Obviously, I'm here to talk. I'm not a fan of the pattern. And along with what Pokey Joe's was saying a few minutes ago, at the St. Patrick's Day celebration downtown, which was a really cool event this weekend, I sat at Pokey Joe's and had a couple drinks while watching traffic, but I noticed the exact same thing he did. At least 3 different times I saw someone accelerate to get into the right lane around someone in front of them to the point where one person did have to slam on their brakes to avoid an accident. So I think, and I know people will say some of that is getting used to a new pattern. I've been driving in Roanoke since I was 16 years old, which was longer ago than I care to think, but I think everybody knows the section of Orange Avenue I'm talking about coming from the Civic Center where it goes from 3 lanes to 2. Still no one is used to that, and you're still watching people coming flying in front and squeezing in at the last second, which is not something I'd like to see in downtown Benton. Just the last thing I was explaining to my son tonight, there's an event at Herman L. Horn Elementary School that I wasn't able to attend because I wanted to come here, and I was explaining to him the importance of being involved in your local elections when you feel it's important about something. And I explained to him, that the town wants to do something with the traffic and take it down to 2 lanes, and they think that that's going to make it safer. And my 8-year-old looked at me and just said, well, if you make it smaller, won't there just be more traffic? And I said, buddy, maybe you should come down here and talk instead of me. So, guys, thank y'all. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you, sir.
Tim Greenway.
We don't do that here. We don't divide up time.
Speak for me.
We don't divide up time.
Tim Greenway, 2066 East Greenway Place, Benton, Virginia.
Good evening.
Thank you, friends, for hearing us. I'm going to bring a little bit of a different perspective based off what the engineer said. There's 56 accidents, I believe, that he referenced, and owning the property on the corner of Gus Nick's and King Street for a while, I know that most of those are right there. So probably 54, 55 of those are in the city. And I don't think it's the town's place to solve the city problems. I think we've done a great job of bringing these businesses to our community. We've heard one business already, and many others have spoke up and said that it was not a great idea to make these lane changes. So hopefully we'll do the right thing and move forward and keep this town, which can't get much better because it's the greatest place on earth to live now.
All right.
So thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're done.
Ken Hale. Lynn, I'm sorry.
My name is Lynn Hale. I'm a lifelong resident of Vinton. I live up here where my mom and dad grew up on Crestview Avenue. I own a couple properties on Washington Avenue between the War Memorial and Mountain View. All due respect to the gentleman from Roanoke City, thank you. In 1983, I realized there weren't as many, the same type of vehicles that there are today. But in 1983, there wasn't nearly the volume of vehicles. You have a lot of Bedford County work traffic coming in and out. I have two properties on Washington Avenue. I see rescue vehicles, school buses, 18-wheelers, and local traffic every day. In my opinion, if you have a 35% increase in traffic and you reduce the accessibility by 30%, I'm kind of like that 8-year-old. I'm scratching my head. Many of you knew my mom and dad. My dad was a council member and a vice mayor, and his last name was Hale, and he would be saying, "What in the hell are y'all thinking?" Thank you.
Anna LaFell.
As a matter of fact, my first council seat was after your father stepped down. Yeah, he's a great guy. He was. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Anna Marie LaFell. I live at 1723 Meadows Road, and I know most of you, and thank you for letting me speak. So the 2024 census shows Vinton has about 8,044 people. We have numerous schools. We have roughly 30 churches, numerous new restaurants, retail, bank, and grocery. 2009 Virginia Department of Housing awarded the business revitalization planning grant to the town of Vinton. In that plan, properties were transformed, improvements happened to streetscapes, gateways, increased business development, tourism that was quoted at 200,000 visitors annually due to where Vinton is located along the Blue Ridge Parkway. All of this was a plan to bring investments, people, housing, and organization, a strategy to reap a long-term benefit. Reducing the number of lanes can lead to higher traffic congestion, particularly around the peak hours. I understood the statistics he showed, but this impacts businesses, schools, apartment complexes that you admirably have worked hard to create investments for. While you focus on this lane change to reduce accidents and or speeding, this increases traffic into a bottleneck. The people are just being diverted into back roads into neighborhoods where there's children, elderly people, and pets. The traffic that he saw reduction, people were going through Berkeley's Bottom and other areas to get to where they needed to go. This reduces the EMS response time, delays buses, and causes others with frustration to divert through those neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods also put things at risk. He talked about risk for accidents. We also want to look at the risk of reducing this traffic and condensing it. The 4-lane road was designed to accommodate the town's growth. To undo this would take us back and not into the future. We kindly ask that you look at the whole picture and not just focus on that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Gerald Swanson.
Good evening, Councilman Mayor, Vice Mayor. My name is Gerald Swanson. I live at 1817 Greenmont Court. I could care less what you do at Gus Nix. I'm just giving a different perspective. The gentleman from the city, Sorghum Thunder, for about 15 years, I drove fire trucks for Roanoke City. Last 6 years was down here on 460. It makes no difference if you got 2 lanes, 4 lanes. People are not going to get out of your way. I drove 6 times. We have to stop and let people get out of the way. I know the last time the guy said something about response times. And most time we had wrecks on 460. It was either inattention or speed. And I think 2 lanes would stop it, but like I said, I probably been on Gus Nix, but maybe 10 times the last 5 years. But we said, what happened? Well, the guy was in the lane, left lane, turning. I didn't see him. Or he was trying to get over and look back. And he's looking back to get over. He turned and turned to somebody. So disrespectful on going between 2 lanes, 4 lanes. And I know one person said that y'all don't listen. Yes, you do listen. I've talked to city council. Sometimes they don't listen. Sometimes the county board of supervisors, no offense to Tammy, listen, but she did what she could do because you can't. Sometimes you got people over top of you that are just voters. So just want to give it perspective on between 2 lanes and 4 lanes. So I appreciate staff.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mayor, that is all I have for Gus Nick's project for that item for public speakers.
Okay, since it went pretty well, if there's anyone on our list that has something new that has not already been said, we do have a couple minutes, so we could allow that. I think we did cover the topic pretty well. I think council understands your comments, and so I'll give them an opportunity to say what they have on their minds. Keith, you want to start us this evening?
Sure. Yes, I've heard everyone tonight. I've read everybody's comments for the past 2 weeks. And as far as social media goes, the decision's already been made. So I don't even know why y'all are here. But that's not the case. It has not been made. I'll say that I know it will work, whether I say it will or not. I travel Colonial Avenue 197 days straight, every single day, 7 days a week, 4 and 5 times a day. That feeds the interstate. People get off the interstate right there at Colonial Avenue, and it's 1 lane, and it moves. I've never been stopped. However, up the street is a roundabout. So with that being said, I'm on that road all the time. Police, EMT, fire trucks, whatever, they can't go around the cones, but the cones aren't always going to be there. This was a test. It was a demonstration. So can't pave it or paint it to do a demonstration. You have to put up some cones for a temporary barrier just to show what it's going to look like. When the cones aren't there, police, fire, EMT, speeders, whoever wants to pass anybody can do it too. I mean, there's plenty of room there. The cones are not blocking them. So I understand the concerns about that, but just want to say that the cones won't always be there. Now, going back to my, when I go on Colonial Avenue, there is that roundabout up there. I think this will work perfect because of that turning lane in the middle. If you want to stop in front of me because you want to turn left and block up 45 other people behind you because you want to take a left, get out of my way and let me keep going straight. I understand that. However, our problem is not the 1 lane, it's King Street. So that's the holdup. Unless something can be done with King Street, this isn't going to work. That's where our backup is. I'll just say last Friday night at 5 o'clock, 5:15, I traveled that road back and forth as many times as I possibly could. I never got stopped. I took a right onto King Street, finally, because the person up in front of me wanted to go straight, and I had to wait for the light before I could take a right. If we had a right turning lane, that might help. However, I never got stopped until I took a right onto King Street and I saw all the traffic backed up all the way to Berkeley's Bottom, waiting to take a left onto Gus Nick's Boulevard. So, I just want you to know that I'm on the fence. I know it'll work, but I know there's a lot of hiccups in our way. And until we can solve those problems, I think there's a lot more testing that needs to be done. And then my last thing is all the people that took alternate routes during this demonstration. Could you raise your hand? You're the reason that it might happen. Because the test is false. If you didn't take your normal route and you went otherwhere else, we're not getting the correct data that we need. So yeah, well, you didn't, it was for 2 weeks. It was for 2 weeks and we just saw it was 57 seconds more. So I hope you went 57 seconds late for your job. 17. So anyway, it hadn't been, the decision has not been made. I just wanted to give you my take on it and how I think it would work if we had other things in place that would make it work. Right now, we don't have those things in place, my opinion. Everybody here has an opinion. I have one too. So I just thought I'd give everybody my opinion.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Don't mention it.
Sabrina, your turn.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming and for being cordial, because that's not what we've gotten sometimes from remarks on Facebook. And we're human too. And this was a test. And we told you it was a test before we even started. And now the test is over. We may have to look at some other things. We don't often have people in here that come into our meetings to talk to us about things that are on your mind or things that you want to see done differently. And so I really, truly do say thank you for coming. And I have written everyone's comments down, and I will go back and I will look at the pros and I will look at the cons, and we will look at other options if that's what we need to do. But nobody likes change. Nobody ever likes change. And it's very, very difficult when you start to go through that. So I appreciate the gentleman coming and giving us the presentation, giving us examples, giving us statistics. And I appreciate you coming. Whether you're for it or you're not, you're here, and that's important. So thank you. And we will go from here with the comments and get together as a group and make a decision, which will not take place tonight.
No.
And thank you again for coming. And please think about what you're going to say before you say it, because sometimes it's not the right thing to say at the right time. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. I always take notes, but I had written down a few things, and I hate to keep being repetitive on some of my other council members. But I do want to thank you all for coming. For or against, that's what we need to hear. That's what democracy is. We want to hear it. We want to listen to it. I can say I've been listening, and I want to say thank you to all the emails I received. I'm still going through those, and I will respond to them all. I want to listen to the citizens in the town limits and the ones over the line. I've read the comments on Facebook, and some of them were hurtful, and they questioned our character, and they called us names. It was a road test, a test. You don't have to be mean. Everybody that spoke tonight was so cordial, so nice, last time as well. That's what we need. We don't need all this hateful on social media. And I usually, if you know me at all, you know I say it like it is, and you usually know where I stand. And I'm on the fence about this every day. Every other day I flop. I just want you to know that when I first saw this plan, I was like, spot on. That's what we need. It's safe. That's what we're doing. And we took the experts' advice. And like I said, this is a test. On paper, it was great. On the road, maybe not for us. I think we need to, when we saw it in real time, we realized the back roads were backing up, the school buses were having issues, the businesses were suffering. Something has to be fixed. And I will say that I'm still listening. I've seen some data that we collected. We still have more to come in, as Mr. Dardenne said. I think I'm going to read back on all my notes on the comments from last time and this time. Probably not go back on Facebook and read that. But I want you to know that we are going to make the best decision for the town and for the citizens, because we all live, work, play, eat here as well. And we don't want to take away from the fantastic things that we have going on and the bright future that we have. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir?
Thank you. And once again, thank you also for coming. This is actually where it's at. And as you very well know, we're the legislative part of the town council. I want to pause for a moment, congratulate my colleagues, and say thank you to Mr. Peters and the staff. We challenge our staff every day as town council members through each department to get outside the box. One of the best business decisions and best business things that I did in my life that I believe made me successful was a think tank. And that's where you come to the table, whether you've been with us 30 minutes or 30 years, and you give us ideas. The Waltons will be billionaires for many decades to come because of an employee that's been with them for a year and a half. So we asked them to get outside the box and make this a demonstration. I'm going to answer a couple of questions for you that I've already answered over the last couple of weeks, and that was, did I vote for the demonstration? I did vote for the demonstration. The second question was, why did I vote for the demonstration? For safety. Bottom line, for safety was my reason. Now, I started my career, and some people might say, as they have on Facebook, that we've been here too long. However, I started my career in public safety. So the safety part of it is, for me, is that corridor in the town of Benton on Gus Nix Boulevard. We have about 85 residents at Billy Bird. They're not double occupancy, so I'm going to take a number that I heard, about 130, for the purpose of me speaking right now. We have a little over a $3.2 million project in progress right now at Gish's Mill. We have a brand new parking lot that we paved that leads to the Greenway. I know people don't like alternative transportation, especially when you mention bicycles. However, as we go through society today, and people that are young, the people that's younger than me, they like alternative transportation, and walking is an alternative transportation. So that corridor, as we go forward to the fact of two people spoke tonight, and you spoke to the fact of, well, I call them almost accidents. And you heard somebody say, I saw somebody in the left lane hang a right and dart in front of somebody and get in front of them to merge. That's the sole reason for the safety aspect of it and that turning lane. That's why I voted for the demonstration. Now, I will assure you, as I am like every one of you, and I know my colleagues give me a hard time about this, I've lived in this town for 3 generations, in this town. On Wednesday at 11:30, the demonstration started at 1 o'clock on Monday. I was going to call that man over there, go get my vehicle, go get the trailer, and pick the barrels and the cones up myself and say, okay. However, let's go back to my original comment. You can't do that to staff. You can't ask staff to get out of the box, and you can't tell staff that you're going to do a demonstration with them until from the 3rd to the 17th and jerk it out from underneath them. We've got to get the data. So that's why it ran to the 17th. We've taken the cones up. We heard April, decision by April. There's another concept. There's another concept that I like. Now, my colleagues have not probably been briefed on it because I'm on finance, and we got briefed yesterday. I don't know the full name of it, but I'm going to give you the first name, and then when you hear it, you'll know what he said. It's called fogging. So what happens in fogging is that we take that stretch of road, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to paraphrase it. We paint that stretch now, we put in actually what it is, what it's going to be, and we do another demonstration without the cones. The lane is there just like it would be. Now, the fogging part of it costs a little bit of money. Once again, if it doesn't work, we go back and paint the pavement again and put it back to 4 lanes. So those are still some options that we have to look at. I'm with my colleagues. I am with my colleagues. However, to the fact of being in the middle. However, I do lean to the side of safety. We lowered the speed limit to 25. I can tell you about a couple of accidents. I can tell you about one accident that a guy needs me to help him with, which I can't. One of his employees hit the telephone pole in front of 107, snapped the telephone pole off coming downhill, and the power company's suing him for $120,000. And he doesn't know what to do. Well, I can't help him, so I've sent him to some people. So that's my thing leading to the point of the demonstration is safety. I thank each one of you for coming. Thank you for reaching out to us. I'm like her and them. I haven't reached back to everybody. I've called people today, and I will get back to you. And please, you can go on our website. I think all of us' personal numbers is on there, and you can reach us personally. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Very well said. As always, my colleagues do a great job in covering about everything that we discuss. I too, though, want to just briefly make a few comments. I certainly want to thank all of you. This has been a great crowd, and I know that there's some passion about this, so I really appreciate the way you've presented yourselves tonight. That means a lot to all of us. So I, again, just thank you for that. So one of the questions was posed earlier, what in the Lynn are we doing? Well, as Mike mentioned, there's nothing, absolutely nothing gets my attention more than safety. Safety and the welfare of this community is absolutely the most important thing that we consider. And so when we first got information that was presented to us, that got my attention really quickly because, as I say, safety is very important. My concern about this first configuration that we've seen, and it was a demonstration, it was a test, is that I am concerned about what it's doing to our neighborhoods. We don't really have all that data together yet. As Mike mentioned, there's a lot of information, a lot of data that we don't even have yet that we will be considering. So that's a piece that I assure you we will look at very closely, because we don't want to cause a unsafe situation in our neighborhoods, number one. And secondly, it's not fair to those people to have to put up with additional traffic. Of course, the impact upon our business always gets my attention too. You know, that's very, very important. We have worked hard in this town to attract new businesses, and I think we've had a measure of success. A lot of that success has come because of the blessings of God and the hard work that our staff has done, and of course council's always here to take credit for it when it goes right. But we have worked hard, and a lot of that also came from thinking outside the box, like Mike said. The only thing wrong with thinking outside the box, sometimes you get your full head knocked off, you know, so you got to be careful about that. But we have always tried to think outside the box, and that has worked really well as far as economic development. We are still gathering data. It was a demonstration. It was a test. The early information we received about the safety issues convinced me that it was worth doing the test, even though I will admit there's part of it, I'm kind of like the 8th grader someone mentioned before, there's part of it that just doesn't work for me. It's counterintuitive. It just, you know, somehow I haven't grabbed it yet. So I got a ways to go there. Not saying I won't get there. I think that we need to consider all the data very carefully. I can't tell you guys how much I respect you guys in planning, and the folks that are trying to make our streets safer. I respect their education and their knowledge, and this is in keeping with the current, please correct me if I'm wrong, Blaine, in keeping with the current thinking about streets. You know, a few decades ago, the idea was build a big, wide 4-lane road and people whip through there as quickly as possible. Well, that worked. They were going pretty fast. What didn't work was the safety issue. So now we have to make some modifications. So even if, in my opinion, even if we don't use this model, or perhaps a variation of it, we've got an issue, folks, that's very important. The safety is paramount. And so we have to, in my opinion, we have to do something. Now, as I say here tonight, I don't know exactly what those answers are. But as I say, nothing gets my attention like safety. So I just feel like it's incumbent upon us to do something. So I guess that's the challenge to us, to take a look at all that data. And by the way, the buck stops here, to use that old phrase. We will be voting on this just like we did the test, you know. It's not the engineers and it's not the staff and everything. It's our responsibility. I do have a challenge for our staff, and that's to bring back to us all the different possibilities. I don't know. I'm hoping that there's some kind of possibility, perhaps a variation of our current study. Perhaps it's the old-fashioned law enforcement piece, which is very expensive and difficult, and just as unpopular, I can assure you of that. And by the way, I would like to thank my council. They don't back down from situations. You know, our test ended right on time. We've gathered the data. There are times when we've done things that are not particularly popular, but we knew we had to do it for the benefit of this community. And one of them is along this very corridor. When we lowered the speed limit to 25, I will tell you folks, that was not popular. And we heard about it. I still hear about it occasionally. But you know what? It worked. I wasn't sure it would at first, but it worked. You know, we had crazy numbers before. You know, we were hearing 45s and even over 50, you know. Not to say that there's not an occasional outlier now. I got passed by a guy today. I guess he was worried about getting caught in the old traffic design, but I don't know. He was moving, you know. But it has worked, and that our speeds now have dropped down to the 35 mile an hour limit. You know, still not 25. So that I don't know, that may be an option too, you know. I'm just saying, we're gathering data, and we will make a decision on it. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but I can guarantee you it's going to be the decision that we think is best for this community. This council is dedicated to doing what's best for this community. It's one reason why, even though we may have different opinions, we get along, because the bottom line, we're going to do what is best for this community. You've probably heard that before, haven't you, Janet? So Janet used to serve on town council. I appreciate her service. So again, thank you, folks. We do have some other business to conduct tonight, so we're not insulted if you leave now. I wouldn't want you to get caught in traffic. So, but we do have some other business to conduct. Thank you very much.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank y'all. Good seeing you.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good man. You are. Yes, you are. Yes, sir. We're with you 100%.
Yeah,
Thank
bye,
you,
Tammy.
Corey.
See y'all soon. Hey, Corey.
Hey, Corey.
Got a lot of
To take it off, I think will be on. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a good one.
Yep.
Yes. It's all right.
Right.
No.
Take 5 minutes?
I'm good. I'm good.
Pretty good? You can take them.
I've been drinking. Go take it. Take a break.
Let's take a.
Okay.
Can we do that there?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're good.
Hey.
In that case, then that's what we're doing.
Hey, folks, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Well,
Okay. All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for hanging in there with us. I think the break was appropriate. And we're down to citizens' comments and petitions if anyone has anything else. All right. Hearing none, we'll move to the reports from the committees. And Mr. Keene, I understand you got the finance thing, right?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. We met yesterday on the Finance Committee meeting looking at February financial statements. So many of our trends continued that we've seen through the first half of the year into the second half. Our consumer-based revenues are still overachieving what we'd hoped, and we're looking about 12% over budget expectations, which is good. We did have some kind of crazy weather in January and February, and I was concerned that we might be impacted in some of the meals tax or sales tax payments, but everything seems to be good so far as we look at the end of February or through the end of February. Wanted to discuss in particular our pari-mutuel. We talk about that a lot. That is at 83%, so we're running 16% over budget there, which is just really, really incredible. So that's continuing to remain high and like I said, just continues to run well. So again, those are our consumer-based revenues. I talk a lot about how in town we're a consumer-based economy, and that's where our largest revenue sources are. As far as expenses go, we see ourselves about 3% underspent. It's also a good thing. So we're over in revenue as far as budget's concerned. We're 3% underspent, and most of the savings that we're seeing on the expense side is coming from vacancies through our personnel. So, as you know, our personnel represents about 50% of the town budget. So, though it is difficult sometimes, we don't have staff members. We do see tremendous savings on the personnel side. We looked earlier at, in the consent agenda, at Resolution 2538A. Wanted to explain that a little bit further. That was the write-off from last year for 2018's personal property tax and vehicle license fees. That was a simple clerical error and really just was fixing a date correction there. So, and we also talked about this year's personal property tax and vehicle license fee write-off. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a briefing on that as we go to action items. So I will speak about those numbers specifically at that point. We spoke about our getting ready for spring tax billing. We have seen over the last few years a tremendous increase in the number of people that are making online payments and that prefer online options for payments. So we went in and noticed that and got some feedback that our website was not mobile friendly. A lot of our folks want to pay on a phone very quickly. So I reached out to our folks at Roanoke County, our IT folks, and had them help us recreate our website where it's mobile friendly. Pulled some data from last year and the year before, and are hoping that with those changes, we can see some quicker payments and maybe an increase in that payment style. So we're also going to see an insert with our tax bills that have a QR code that will allow people to scan and pay immediately upon opening their tax statement if they wish to do so. And then lastly, we did a consumer-based tax rate presentation, which is something we typically do every year. We just take a look at our tax rates and discuss what that would look like as we go into budget season. And it was really just about it. Do you guys have any questions about anything?
Council, any questions?
Thank you.
Good meet.
Good. If there are no questions, we'll entertain a motion to approve the financial statements for February 28, 2025.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to our public hearing for this evening. And this will be concerning abandoning a a portion of the First Street. And so we will open our public hearing, and as always, start with a report from our staff. Mr. McClung.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So before you have ordinance that is about the proposed closure, vacation, discontinuance, and abandonment of a portion of First Street and an undeveloped 15-foot alley in the vicinity of the intersections of Cedar Avenue, First Street, South Pollard, and Virginia Avenue. The last page of the exhibit attached to the ordinance, you can see the specific area that we're proposing to be closed and vacated. Obviously, this is a part of the hotel project. We knew going into the hotel project in terms of placement for the size needed that this closure would be necessary, and it's also a part of our performance agreement with Kara Roanoke LLC, which currently the performance agreements between the EDA, Roanoke County, and the town of Vinton and its developer. You'll see it's a portion of First Street that goes from Cedar Avenue down to South Pollard and West Virginia Avenue, and then it's a 15-foot alley from First Street and over to 100 West Virginia Avenue, where Wells Fargo Bank property is. Just getting some of the terminology correct here, because this is not the typical kind of closure process. The ordinance would authorize the town manager to execute a quick claim deed once if this alley and portion of First Street is to be closed. The vacation is contingent, so there's a contingency built in here in the ordinance that Kara Roanoke LLC must commence the hotel project within 90 days of it being adopted. So there's contingencies built in with the developer moving forward, but these right-of-ways are necessary for the hotel project to move forward. First Street is developed. Obviously, it's a one-way street. It's been that's used sparingly. And then the 15-foot alley was one of our paper alleys that were never developed or utilized by the town. But that's the ordinance. If there's any questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may real quickly.
Yes, sir.
The code section under which we're operating, as Nathan said, allows a contingency, and we built in some conditions into this ordinance. But you have before you on your table there a slight variation of what was included in the packet, and I just wanted to mention that. The condition in the ordinance that was included in the packet referred to a specific commitment letter from a lender to Kara Roanoke LLC, and that financing for the construction loan be established through a commitment letter. We've altered that language slightly because a lot of the financing apparently is going to be cash financed and not borrowed immediately. There may be some borrowing down the line, and I point that out because the change we made, and you'll see it in red line on your document, says that they have to present a commitment letter or term sheet that's from a lender acceptable to the town manager and on terms and conditions acceptable to the town manager. So we didn't want to tie them to a specific term sheet at this point. We wanted to give them some flexibility, and the way to do that was to give Pete the opportunity to review that term sheet. That term sheet and land disturbing activity have to occur within 90 days. But it's just a slight alteration in the ordinance that we're actually asking you to adopt from what was contained in the packet.
Yeah, gotcha. I appreciate that, Jeremy. That gives me confidence in that you folks are that thorough and made those changes. Also, what helps me is it's being signed by you and Pete, not me. So, I'm sorry.
Additionally, we're conveying our interest in these areas, but a subdivision plat for the hotel, when it's submitted, all 6 of these parcels will be combined into one. But that's when the actual alleys and everything, this is a little unique. It's different than the typical alley and street closure process that we go through. So,
right.
So make note of that.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Are there any public comments? I don't guess staff had any public comments come in. No. Council, any questions, discussion? You got it? Okay, that being the case, we will close the public hearing. You have before you an ordinance that would make some changes on First Street, as you heard Nathan describe. I'm not going to go into any details there, too complicated for me. But you heard the presentation from Nathan, so is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance authorizing the proposed closure, vacation, discontinuance, and abandon of the streets mentioned.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Lyles, a second by Vice Mayor Mullins. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty?
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes. Thank you, folks. All right. Items requiring action. So, Mr. Town Manager, looks like you're up.
Good evening, Mayor. Finally get to say hello to everybody, Vice Mayor, members of council.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. I got a couple of additional items related to the hotel property. The developer, as several of you council members have met, Mitesh Amin, approached the town several weeks ago, maybe up to a month ago, requesting, he's created a new LLC. So some of what we will talk about, the next two items, actually relate to him creating a new LLC specifically for the Vinton property. Many developers do this, kind of separate some of their assets into kind of more manageable sections. So the first item is actually pertaining to the performance agreement. As you've heard tonight, we have a performance agreement with originally Cara Hospitality LLC. That's a performance agreement between the town, the hotel developer, and the Roanoke County EDA. The performance agreement provides incentives rebated back to the developer to help encourage him to do the project in the first place. Primarily, there are two provisions to this performance agreement that we're asking for you to take action on tonight. The first provision is that this is an assignment and assumption from Cara Hospitality LLC to Cara Roanoke LLC. So as I mentioned, same developer, it's just a separate entity that was created specifically for the Roanoke property.
You mean the Vinton property?
Yes.
Shouldn't it be the Cara Vinton LLC? No.
Perhaps.
We can change it.
Don't make me do another.
Oh, sorry.
An option, Lori.
Sorry.
For the town of Vinton.
Easy now. Easy.
And the second provision within the agreement here is to extend the scope of the project. As council knows, the developer determined through his site planning process that he needed to acquire the dry cleaner that's currently there on the property. He has since closed on the property, and the current tenant is planning to vacate by the end of this month. And I'd say in early April, we could expect some demolition of that property. Through the budget development process, once he received bids for earth moving and actual construction of the hotel, he has since come back to the town and asked for compensation for the dry cleaner purchase. So we have added the seventh property that we will include in the performance agreement. The total $475,000 is what the developer negotiated and purchased the dry cleaner for. And through the performance agreement, we will rebate half of that purchase on the opening of the hotel, so that we can significantly say that he's encouraged to get the property open and operating. So he'll get half of the purchase of the dry cleaner then, and over the 2 subsequent years following, he would receive half of the remaining balance each of the subsequent 2 years. So 137 and some change. The following 2 years. And so he's agreed to that provision, and he certainly appreciates the town's consideration. Our arrangement with Roanoke County to rebate some of the property taxes, sales taxes that are collected out of the result of the better, higher use of this property will actually compensate the town for much of our performance agreement and acquisition costs for both the original 6 properties as well as the dry cleaner property. So it's kind of a revenue neutral, expense neutral item for the town, but it's certainly important to the developer to get this project underway. So hopefully I haven't overcomplicated that. I tried to just talk about the two specific items, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address those. But the staff, and Jeremy, if you have anything to add on that particular item, that is sufficiently cover it.
Yes, the only thing I would add is, and you may have covered it and I missed it, these are both three-party agreements, so they'll have to be approved by the Roanoke County EDA as well. The EDA has already approved the assumption agreement, so they've signed off on the assignment to Roanoke, Cara Roanoke LLC. They'll take the performance agreement amendment up at their next meeting. Yep.
Okay.
And because the additional property is not urgent, because the actual triggering to reimburse him doesn't happen until hotel properties develop, we're not under a big time crunch for that piece. All of the closing on the properties, the vacations, the getting the construction underway shouldn't be held up by this, but it was a necessary item to bring forward council tonight.
Very cool. Thank you. So obviously you don't expect any problem with the EDA, yeah?
No, they had no questions when we discussed with them
I've already sent this over to their attorney, and he's looked at it, and
sure.
I know he's forwarded it on to Richard as well, so I've not heard of it.
And they have not taken action on the actual revision of the MOU, which would extend it from 3 years to 5 years, which we discussed. But the expectation is they will follow suit and take appropriate action on that in a future EDA and Board of Supervisors meeting, but we haven't determined or scheduled that date.
Cool.
But as I said, I anticipate that our relationship with the county and that additional agreement will just about cover the full expense of all the property acquisition in question.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay, folks, you've heard the presentation. Are there any questions for the town manager concerning this item?
I have one question. We adopt 3 different things. Is that correct? Or can we put it all under?
Well, there's one resolution that addresses the assumption agreement and the amendment to the performance agreement. So you only need to adopt the single resolution. It will accomplish all of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So council, you have before you, if there are no other questions or comments.
I got one.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
So K1, the adoption of K1 will cover K1 and K2?
No, just K1.
K1.
Yes.
Right, just K1.
Correct. But K1 allows for the assumption agreement and the amendment to the performance agreement.
Hospitality Care, Roanoke LLC. Right. Okay.
K2's coming up.
And K2 will deal with the sale of the land.
Gotcha.
So, then we'll change that to Cara Benton, right?
You want to read that?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, council, we have before you a resolution that would make the changes concerning the 7th parcel as described this evening. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the town manager.
Go forth.
To consent on behalf of the town to an agreement and assumption agreement from Cara Hospitality LLC to Cara Roanoke LLC and agree to an amendment to increase the scope of the project to include a 7th parcel of land.
Cool. Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Mayor Mullins, second by Councilmember McCarty. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty?
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes.
Okay, so now for K2, this is an amendment, an assignment and first amendment to the sales contract. So first of all, there's 2 provisions to this. First, it assigns our sales contract from Cara Hospitality LLC to Cara Roanoke, which very much follows suit from the performance agreement. And secondly, it removes the requirement of Cara Roanoke to simultaneously close on the property and the construction loan. As we talked about earlier with the right-of-way and the alley closure, we feel like the developer has made significant advancement towards his indication of he's pursuing this. There's several factors, one being the acquisition of the dry cleaner, hiring a general contractor. So he's made significant access to move this project forward. He has also just recently shared with us that he has a number of partners, and so they've raised a significant number of cash that will fund the initial part of this construction. And so his strategy is that he will eventually take out a bank loan to complete the construction, but it'll be later in the year. His hope is the interest rates will come down and he can negotiate a better rate on his borrowing. So we felt, and we discussed it at length with Jeremy, that we felt like he's made significant contribution toward moving the project forward, and that the term sheet proved that he had consideration for a bank loan. He's just not going to close on that loan at the same time as closing on the property. So I probably butchered that, but that's my best explanation of what we're trying to accomplish in this amendment and assignment of the sales contract. Be happy to answer any questions, and more importantly, Jeremy's here that can throw me a lifeline.
Remember, you want Billy?
I was a little distracted today, so.
Two things. One, here, as opposed to K1, we were able to put the assignment assumption and the amendment in the same agreement because of sequencing. We hadn't already taken something to the EDA like we had done for the assignment agreement there. So that's why there's only one document that you're essentially approving here. Two, this document, the one that was in your packet, is changing a little bit as well. Again, on your table there, you'll have a red line of the assignment and First Amendment. The change is exactly the same as we made to the vacation ordinance, that we're tying it to a term sheet or commitment letter that is reasonably acceptable to Pete. That's all that they have to demonstrate to him at this point. They still have to continue with the land disturbing activity that we've talked about, and they don't get the reimbursement until they've opened the hotel. So there are many steps and many incentives for them to continue.
The reason why that provision was in there to start with is we wouldn't want to transfer ownership of the property and then the hotel never happened, and then we have to go and try to get the property back.
Oh, man.
So that was the reason why we had the commitment for him to close on this loan.
Yeah, originally it required him to close on the construction loan at the same time. Then what you have in your packet is give us the signed commitment letter, and we've backed it off a little bit more. He has a period of time to demonstrate to Pete that he's got the sufficient construction.
And he has also nearly $1 million of public incentive riding on him opening the hotel. So he is.
You felt the incentives were there without.
He's sufficiently encouraged to complete this project.
I would say yes. Okay. Okay, folks, any questions or comments? Nope. If not, we'll entertain a motion for the resolution listed in item K2. I'm going to bail out.
Mayor, I'll make a recommendation to adopt the resolution authorizing the town to execute the assignment and First Amendment of the contract.
Thank you, sir.
I'll mention it.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Lyles. Excuse me, and a second by Vice Mayor Mullins. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty?
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes. One more time, sir.
Thank you all. I'm going to turn this one over to our Finance Director, Treasurer Andrew King.
Okay.
All right. So earlier during the Finance Committee report, I spoke about this year's annual write-off of personal property delinquent taxes and also delinquent vehicle license fees. So as you all know, every year we write off the outstanding delinquencies for the period that's 5 years old. So this year we're writing off 2019 taxes here. So the personal property delinquent tax for 2019 was $7,966.92. And the vehicle license fee for 2019 was $16,239.61. So these are very much in line within $1,000 of our write-off last year. So we haven't seen any tremendous growth there year over year. But I did want to go through the process and let you know kind of what it looks like. So obviously, the folks will get their first tax statement, then we go through a period of 4 years of delinquent tax billings. And every year of those, they are subject to what we call the debt set-off, which is where this information is submitted to the state. And if the folks that are owing taxes here are subject to any state refund, the town of Benton and any other locality, Roanoke County or what have you, would have access to essentially taking that refund to cover the outstanding tax debt. So all of these individuals have gone through the debt set-off process. And I did want to touch on this year, the state is considering what they have done the last couple of years, a $200 per person tax rebate, $400 per couple if filing jointly. This is something that really every citizen that has paid taxes gets in the state, not just someone who is due a refund. So this will be going to a lot more people, and it gives us access through the debt set-off process to reach folks that don't typically get a tax refund to try to recoup some of these debts. So when that is signed and when it goes out, we'll be exercising the debt set-off process on these debts as well as any that have been written off prior and any that are even newer than these. The last thing I wanted to touch on was we are using for the first time a software that we had acquired through the Treasurers Association of Virginia. It's called a Clear software, and it's what we call a skip tracing software. So it helps us kind of find people that have moved, renters that have moved to different places, or folks that have moved out of the area. Just gives us some tools to try to track folks down when we get bills that have been returned. So we're still very new to this, and we're starting to exercise that. So the last thing I'll leave you with is just because we're writing this off doesn't mean that these debts aren't collectible. If we are able to reach the folks, we'll certainly reach out and try to recoup what's owed to the town. So this is a write-off now, but it doesn't mean that we can't recoup it if we're able to satisfactorily track down the individual and get the debt.
Keith, don't skip town, not pay your bills, they're gonna find you if you do.
No, I only did that on my water bill.
Mr. Mayor, I consider adoption of the resolution allowing town treasurer and finance director to remove outstanding personal property delinquent taxes and vehicle license fees over 5 years old from the active records to a permanent file.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, second.
All right. Any further discussion?
I feel pretty important. Can I read that again?
Yeah, can you say that again? All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Stovall, and a second by Councilmember Lyles. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty?
Yes.
Councilmember Stovall?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mullins?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes. All right, obviously, resolution carries. I don't see anything listed, but I know you've been doing a lot of work for us, Jeremy. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
My wife is seriously considering issuing a challenge for you for a spiffiest.
Oh, you win, no doubt.
But like
We gotta.
like the manager.
No, now I don't give you credit.
I think Pete wins. I gotta say, I like Pete's style.
I don't know down on the other end down there.
Oh, that's pretty
Kind of like that one.
And that's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that guy. Yeah, you. About your job.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was distracted.
Y'all pulled out the shot.
Well, Sabrina and I are twinning, so there's that.
That's right.
We didn't even plan it.
We got the color code from the
We
code.
plan it.
Where public maintenance blue green.
Blue or green, make them happy.
Anyhow, thank you, Jeremy.
Yes, sir. Happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
Mr. Major, anything further
Just a
tonight?
couple comments, if you don't mind.
Go for
I
it.
think we've had plenty of updates tonight. Just wanted to thank council for your resolve, you sticking to the plan. That makes it very manageable for staff when we have council such as yourselves that will communicate and kind of support staff. So it's very, very helpful. Also want to thank Cody. I often say he's just water runs off him like a duck's back. So. My stress does not do that all the time, so appreciate what he does to help balance the situation for all the staff, but certainly for me. So thank you. That's all.
Yeah. We are
Well,
blessed.
he's the mastermind behind the traffic.
He sits over there and goes,
Well,
I can't tell you.
that's what everybody says is Cody said they gave out his email address on social media because he's the mastermind behind the
I
traffic.
can't tell you how much he takes on. You know, he just continues to ask for more, does more. It's tough, but
I mean, I'm glad because that's who I've been blaming. Anyways, it doesn't matter to me.
Cody Sexton's idea.
anyways, thanks to council, thanks to Cody, thanks to all staff, but I appreciate all y'all's support.
Thank you, sir. We're really blessed to have the staff that's in place now. And I tell people all the time, over the years, we've had some good folks in certain positions, but across the board, this is by far the best staff I've ever seen. You guys are really great. And Pete, I give a whole lot of credit to you and the hiring process. You hire good folks, and that's it shows. So thank you guys, all of you. Great. Next time we'll try to fix something more than hamburgers, right?
That's right. Up our game next time.
I can say that because I'm
We
not
got
a cook.
I know we got
it.
No, we already got it.
We got a plan.
Oh.
He's got it.
Yeah, Pete's already got it.
No, Sabrina's idea.
Yeah.
Baked potatoes and chili beans.
Oh, yeah.
I'm doing the fall, hopefully.
Ooh.
You heard it here first. You heard it here.
And I will give it to Mr. Lyles. I'll hand it to him. We're sitting at the table up at the senior building. Tell us, I guess comments, but anyway. $2.93. $2.93 you get a full potato from 611 with 5 condiments. Come with it. It's great. It's great. He brought that up. And I'm thinking, ain't no way. Called him absolutely.
Called him right then.
Already playing it.
To him.
Sir, 274 on the stacks. I'm in. There we go.
That's a deal right there.
So Sabrina had the idea, so that's what's next, is baked potatoes and chili beans.
Bring it on. Rolaids. Yeah. So do you have any more comments?
As y'all very well know, I was out of town last week, but I'll tell you something that's gratifying. I received 5 text messages on Sunday. 4 of those 5 text messages were for individuals that do not live in this town. 3 of them, which had 6 of them together, traveled past Roanoke City and came to downtown Benton for our St. Patty's Day celebration. And just commented on how great it was. 3 things one of them said. Number 1, it didn't have a smell that you got down in Roanoke City. Number 2, there wasn't drunks laying all over the place. And it was just like everybody, one guy said, it was one of those things we say about, guys would say, act like you belong. And he said people just acted like they belonged, and it was just a fabulous time. So hats off to everybody that had something to do with that and organizing that. And I mean, I think those are great events. I mean, I really do. So anyway, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, you have anything further?
Once again, thank you, Pete and Cody and all the staff, police department, and everybody that listened to this 2 weeks of comments, and we appreciate it very, very much. And we'll put our working boots on now and see what's what. And yes, the St. Patrick's Day thing was fantastic. Even the weather felt like Ireland, I would imagine. So everything was perfect. Everything was perfect.
It was. It was good. Ma'am, you have anything for you?
I just wanted to say that the last 2 weeks of my retirement has been challenging.
Good thing you didn't have to work.
Oh, I know. I'm so glad I didn't have to get up. But I just want to thank you guys for your thoughts and prayers. I've had some ongoing issues with my parents, and you guys have been there and texting me and staying in touch. I love you guys, and I appreciate it. And we are a family, and you guys always got my back. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, we are a family. Of course, you always have one uncle, But speaking of which,
You mean that one down there? I just thank staff too for these last 2 weeks, and Cody, I was kidding, but I knew you have taken it on the chin. But I will say that everybody that came tonight had valid complaints.
Yep.
We all had them ourselves, so appreciate all of them coming here, and hopefully we can work the kinks out, or if we can't, we'll move on to something else. So, St. Patty's Day thing, I think it was good. Just I was there just briefly. I went to I got to the Dogwood Restaurant at 8:50 on Saturday morning. And after talking to every single person in there, I left at 12 o'clock and I was too daggone tired to go to the, after that, I went home.
That's why you went and go in the evening.
Take him one for the team, my man. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Saved about another 20 people from coming here.
Hey.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think we still got some challenges ahead of us, and hopefully, like I said, whatever we decide is the best thing for the town.
Right, right. Well, thank you, sir, for those comments, and I'd like to certainly want to thank our staff for all the hard work they do every day, and I also want to thank council. As you mentioned, we've heard a few comments these past couple of weeks, and I think council has been very fair. I'm very appreciative of the way the folks conducted themselves tonight. I thought it went well, and I don't know. We'll pat ourselves on the back a little bit. I know sometimes our informal way of approaching things maybe concern some folks, but I think that atmosphere helps us to get through some pretty tough things, you know. Sure. So anyhow, good job, folks. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, staff. Good job, Jeremy, always. Thank you, folks in the crowd there. I'm glad you were able to get a seat. All right. Is there anything further to come before council this evening? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please signify by leaving. Thank you, folks.